is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Coley, can you do us the favor? What day is it today?
It's Friday.
Yeah. I like
Pretty
the
good.
power in there.
A little more. Should I try again?
Try it again. What's the day, Doc?
Friday.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was really good. All right, we made it through the week. The booth is smiling. Everyone's happy. All right, we're
How do you
starting.
know?
Brian sounded happy.
He just told me he hates everyone.
Oh, did he?
No.
Just you? Got it. So we're starting today with some new details in the investigation, again, into Matthew Perry's death. And to help us understand it all, we are joined by our one and only Dr. Coley. And in case you missed it, 5 people were arrested, including 2 doctors, a live-in personal assistant, an acquaintance, and a drug dealer known as the ketamine queen. So they all allegedly conspired to provide Matthew Perry with the ketamine that caused his accidental overdose death last year. We're now learning that Perry's assistant, get this guys, gave him at least 3 shots of ketamine on the day he died, including the one that killed him. Now, according to authorities, Perry began using ketamine as a legitimate medical treatment. Here's what the administrator for the DEA said about it on the Today Show. Take a look.
He started receiving treatment for anxiety and depression. And at some point, he needed or wanted a higher dosage that the doctors would not provide. So at that point, he sought out other doctors. And it's part of the tragedy of this case that doctors are in a position of authority and trust, and these 2 doctors violated that. They saw him as a payday.
So before we get to Dr. Coley, I just wanted anyone's take that this has turned into like a drug ring of this whole thing when we thought perhaps it was just a drowning. Anyone want to offer any thoughts on it?
I think this has been going on for a long time, and I think there's many drug rings, not only just in the Hollywood Hills or in Hollywood in general, but all over the country and the world. It's an epidemic, right? Yeah. And I don't know if I want to bring it here right away, Doc, because we have so many medical questions, but we seem to just think it's okay now and give the victim the benefit of the doubt to say, you have bouts with depression or panic attacks. I also know that you could beat a panic attack without medication, and you could beat depression without medication. But for some reason, we just give all the benefit of the doubt of that Matthew Perry's the victim in this, and all the other people are the criminals, which they are. But I don't understand why we let one person off the hook when it involves everybody. I don't know. That's not a medical question. I'm just kind of in that world, and I understand the pushback of it is a disease, it is that. But if there are legitimate, diagnosis to say you don't need to use. I suffered with panic attacks way back when I was 20, and I went into books and I went into the library, and I specifically remember reading everything that I did and what I was doing wrong, and I corrected it without medicine. And everything I read said you do not need to take medicine, but if you do in a severe case, you definitely can. And then you start getting hooked on those pharmaceuticals, and then the ring starts. Sorry.
Please, do you have a response to that, Jeff?
I mean, I think Jeff is making a great point, which is that you're trading one evil for the other. And I really want to start by saying I hope we don't call these individuals doctors, because they're a shame. They're a black mark on our profession. They're not doctors. They're criminals. Their job was to heal. Their job was to help, not to take advantage of his disease. But now, to your point, are we reaching for medications a little bit too easy, especially knowing that ketamine is a medicine that in and of itself can create an addiction? So using it for addiction disorders like opioid use disorder, alcohol use disorder is almost a bit of a slippery slope. You're just trading one evil for the other in some ways.
Wow.
Well, I think that's kind of where my mind is going, because you had someone who clearly suffered with addiction. It wasn't necessarily ketamine originally, but if you're going to prescribe something or use it for medical purposes like the ketamine treatment, then it's almost like, okay, it gives almost like a license to be like, well, I'm taking this drug anyway, so what difference does it make if I take a little bit more, even recreationally? Right. But, okay, so in terms of ketamine as a treatment, and also the ethics of treating people who have a history of drug abuse and addiction, where can that line kind of get blurry, and where should it stop?
So here's the challenge with ketamine. You get tolerance to it. So it's not just that you're craving more, it's that you actually need more to have that same sort of effect. And then there's also the psychological dependence. So using it for depression, addiction, anxiety, pain can be really tricky. And ketamine's been around for decades. It was used in the 70s a lot in the Vietnam War for general anesthetic out in the field. In the 80s and 90s, people started realizing, well, we're having hallucinations with this. Let's start abusing using it started being called Special K.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then in 2019, the FDA said, well, in very low doses, it kind of hits a reset on your brain. So what's really cool about this medication is it works for depression like no other because it works within minutes to hours. And it sort of kind of, like I said, resets your brain using a receptor called glutamate, a chemical glutamate, which is different from the other antidepressants. So that's what makes it really appealing, because in a short little dose, even if you can't get over it the old-fashioned way, which many of us can, and you do need a reset, none of the other treatments are working, you can use this. But you might need escalating doses. So to me, one of the doctors was an urgent care doctor, and the other was an ER doctor. Why do they even have access to ketamine as an outpatient? Like, this should only be in the hands of a trained psychiatrist because it needs to be administered in a medically monitored setting. And I was just aghast to read that one of the times that he injected Matthew Perry was in his car at Long Beach.
Yeah.
I mean, he induced general anesthesia essentially in the car. He taught his assistant how to inject him.
Yeah, he was taught, exactly. The assistant was taught how to do it by the doctor, which is crazy. I do want to get this information. We're learning more also about this so-called ketamine queen. TMZ reports she was really into the mafia and even created her own website paying tribute to the life of organized crime. She's now facing 9 charges, including conspiracy to distribute ketamine, and has pled not guilty. Now, as part of the investigation, authorities, Al, raided her house following Perry's death. Here's what they say they found. Watch.
Was last fall, and then we did a search warrant earlier this year, and she was still running a drug emporium. There were 79 vials of ketamine, more than 1,000 pills that are essentially methamphetamine. Yeah. So she was a significant drug trafficker. And again, we also have now been able to connect her sale of ketamine to an individual, Cody McLaury, who died in 2019. So she's a significant source of supply in Los Angeles. And again, Matthew Perry got to her after starting with the unscrupulous doctors and then turning to the streets.
We have a picture that I want to have go up of all the pills and medicines they found, but some of her friends are also defending her, saying they had no idea she was involved in drugs. One said, quote,
okay, buddy.
I know, at the end of the day, nobody's forcing anybody to do drugs. What do you think of this ketamine queen?
Now, that I do agree with. Look, we live in a capitalistic society, and if you say the word socialism as a political candidate, you'll be run out of town. But when the politics and the ethics of capitalism come up, everybody all of a sudden turns into a 4-year-old. If people want to buy something in this country, whether it's cocaine or a used car, Erica, they can do it. If you have money and power and influence like this man, he can do whatever he wants. I think we clearly saw with the Jeffrey Epstein thing that you can get whatever you want when you have all the money in the world and all the protection in the world. Nobody, first of all, this woman's living in the Hollywood Hills. What do you think, nobody noticed, Erica, that people are coming? Would you notice if your neighbor was a major drug dealer? You think you and your husband might say, that's weird, there's been 11 cars there this morning. People know. The police absolutely knew. They're vice cops all over the place. You think they don't know where to get cocaine and pills in Los Angeles?
I mean,
That's
she
their
had the
job.
title Ketamine Queen.
Right.
It came from somewhere.
She was on a red carpet in one of those pictures.
Right.
So we have to stop being naive about what's going on here. When rich people want drugs, they get the rich people drugs, which is what we're talking about now. When the poor folks want them, now we're talking about crack and meth.
Yep.
But it's the same thing, it's just a different neighborhood.
But addiction is a disease. And to take advantage of somebody's disease is the ultimate evil. It's preying on their vulnerability, it's the chemical imbalance, and that's what happens whether you're rich or poor.
Sadly, Doc, some people don't care. Some people don't have sensitivities to things like that, like you. Some people don't have
like these doctors.
A moral compass like you, and because of that, people will always be able to have access to the most nefarious things in our society.
I have to say, this is one of the most relatable conversations we've ever had on the show. I'm sure a lot of you know exactly what we're talking about. Coming up on DBL, Dr. Coley is going to stick around to talk with us about a new study that reveals the 2 times in life where we age the most and why Jeff is at it, and the amazing mentalist Wayne Hoffman stuns us with his illusions. Welcome back to DBL. We got Dr. Coley here again to help us with this next story. So, we all aspire to age gracefully or gradually. Exhibit A. But now there's some new research that shows we don't age as you might have thought. It turns out we may in fact age in bursts, with rapid changes happening around age 44 and a second burst when we hit 60. So are you ready for your age bursts?
I already had mine.
Is this like aesthetic?
Yeah.
Or is it physical?
Both. Everything sags. Everything changes. Well, talk to us. What about these?
No, let's hear from Tori.
Yeah. What happened?
This is fascinating. I mean, we always thought aging was linear, right? That you just keep aging gradually.
Is that a part of your body?
Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry, apologize. One of my jowls fell. Go ahead.
So it's not exactly mid-40s and exactly 60s. It's somewhere around there, and some people accelerate faster than others based on our lifestyle habits. But these researchers studied these, proteins in our body to see when they change, and we see a burst around mid-40s and burst around 60s. And the proteins that seem to age around both of those are cardiovascular disease-related proteins, skin, which we can all probably attest to, muscle, as well as kidney, and this is very interesting to me, caffeine, alcohol, and cholesterol metabolism. So we actually metabolize caffeine, alcohol, and cholesterol differently around those ages. And, some of us will say, oh, my alcohol tolerance has gone down, or I can't drink like I used to, or what have you. So really interesting, fascinating research that makes us realize to reverse this aging process, we have to think differently than we used to before.
Oh my God. How old is everybody on the panel? How old are you?
46.
How old?
43.
47, so I had my burst. It was awesome. Yeah, I think it probably happened over COVID. I didn't even notice. Yeah, it's great.
Well, we didn't notice
I'm
either.
ready to be old. Am I the only one? I'm done. I
All right, Al, your heart
I
is
had
made of
my
stone.
fun.
Jeff, go ahead.
All right, so is there anything that we can do to fight these changes, or can we?
Yes, and that's the good news. So if we pay attention, now we've only studied the proteins related to this, but in our 40s, we need to start focusing on cutting down alcohol. That's kind of the biggest one because we metabolize it differently. We need to start focusing on our skin and our muscles, which means lots and lots of exercise, and cholesterol. So that's a big one in the 40s. Whereas in the 60s, we need to focus more on our kidney health. So we need to make sure we're staying really hydrated and controlling our blood pressure because our blood vessels age by getting stiffer, just like our skin ages with wrinkles.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so knowing how we age can actually help us to sort of determine what to do. And I think it has implications for public health, too. It's not just on an individual basis, but what we're doing as populations, interventions, prevention, screenings, all of that can be impacted by this research. So everyone up here ready to reverse their aging process with all of those?
Erica, please.
Well, no, I'm curious as to does the face fall? Does the body fall? Is it the muscles? I want to know what the aesthetic representation is so that I know it when if I ever see it, because I'm rebuking it in the name of the Lord.
But Erica, you're being serious, but I mean, you might be in jest a little bit, but seriously, I think we're in an era where people are in better shape. You've been doing Pilates for a decade.
I
walk around, I go to Trader Joe's, people in there are ripped. So is it different now, we won't be able to tell as much because you do see 50-year-olds, Jeff's in great shape, is it the same?
Mention I'm in good shape.
Tori's there, and Tori looks amazing. So I don't know, will it be different because everybody's in better shape now?
We'll never know because we're out of time. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Coley. DBL Nation, follow Dr. Coley on social media, Pyle Coley MD. You can also subscribe to her YouTube page. Plus, check out her podcast, Heart of Medicine, wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you again, Dr. Coley. You have not had your burst. We will be right back. Welcome back. He's been one of our favorite guests for years now, and he knows how to really freak us out for real with his mind-blowing illusions. Earlier, we had Wayne Hoffman on for his very final appearance on DBL. Take a look.
I need one of you to help me out with an experiment. Who's in?
Albert. I'm volunteering myself.
Albert.
All right, let's rock and roll. So I have some tarot cards here. Now, tarot cards, they say when you cut the cards, it'll tell your future. Now, nobody really knows what the future holds, but they say that each individual card represents something. So I'm going to go through each of the cards, and as I go through, all you have to do is tell me how many times you want to cut the cards, and that's how many times I'll cut it, and we'll see what card you cut to. So as I go through like this, all you'll do is we'll look at the card you cut to. So first of all, how many times do you want to cut the tarot cards? You tell me a number, and I'll cut that many times.
Good old-fashioned, I think 5's a good number.
That's a lot.
All right.
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have?
3, 4, 5. Let's see what we got. The sun. Well, this is great news because the sun means clarity, positivity, and a bright future.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Now, here's the thing. Did you ever hear of palm reading?
Yes.
Well, palm reading is real. You see, you chose the sun. The way you see what's on your palm, you need a light. Yeah, check this out.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
What?
It says the sun. You see?
I definitely
This was
see
meant
that.
to be, man. It was meant to be. But now we're going to try
We're
something.
sunsetting, too.
Yeah, play on words. But we're going to try something else here. And I need 3 of you to participate, but we also need one of you to have a calculator. So do you have a calculator?
I got one.
We need 3 people. So somebody name out loud a 3-digit number.
133.
Okay, so type in 133 into the calculator.
Okay.
All right, and now somebody else name a different 3-digit number.
214.
Okay, now you're not adding or subtracting, just we're making a 9-digit number, so type in 214. So right now you should see on your calculator, I think it's 133214. Now we need to finish this 9-digit number. Somebody name another 3-digit number.
649.
649, is that right?
I've never heard her say
Yes, that's right.
649.
Okay, so now I think the number was 133214649. Was that it?
Yep.
Yeah, good job, Jeff.
Let me see if I still have this. In my wallet, I had this prediction here. Hang on.
Is there money?
Let me see. I don't want to show my
Is there
license on
that much
camera.
money that you're going to share with us?
Yeah, no, I had 112142101. And but that's not right either. So I had another number here. I got to figure out why this isn't 07. This is weird, guys. I don't know what's happening because I had this too on the other side. It was 210725548. You know what? I have an idea.
Okay.
It must be the difference in the numbers. Do me a favor.
No.
Hit the minus button.
Okay.
And then hit 21072
072
548.
548. And equal it?
Yeah. And what does it equal here? I'm going to write it on this big paper so everybody can surely see it. What's the answer?
Right there, Wayne.
112142101.
No.
And that's what I had earlier. That's weird. But you know what? Here's the deal, guys. If something doesn't look right at first,
Turn it upside
you
down.
just sometimes need to change your perspective.
It is that number.
Turn it up.
Stop it.
It's going to spell something.
No, it's 112.
No.
Yeah.
It's going to spell.
I just wanted to say farewell to you guys since this is my last appearance.
That was.
Wow, Wayne.
I don't know. I I just do the stuff.
That was so great, man.
That was amazing.
I wish it wasn't farewell.
I thought he was going to be like, you're all staying on.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Wayne, we have always loved having you on the show over the years. You really are one of the greatest entertainers we've ever met.
Truly.
DBL Nation, if you would like to hire Wayne for your event or connect with him on social, visit waynehoffman.com for all the details. We love you, Wayne. Thank you.
That was
I love
great.
you
We'll
guys.
be right back.
Love you, buddy.
Love you guys.
Farewell, Wayne. That was great.
Take care.
Welcome back. You can never be too safe when it comes to your home or business, especially if you live in a natural disaster-prone area. That's why ServPro is dedicated to helping you in emergency situations. They are a leading disaster relief company and the #1 choice when it comes to cleanup and restoration. Their highly trained experts are available 24/7 with rapid response times. You can learn more to go to servpro.com. Now, before we go, the Portland airport has done a huge renovation, but one thing still is a hit with the travelers. Their therapy llamas. The llamas and alpacas, it was on a different part of the prompter, visit the airport to soothe any frazzled or nervous travelers, and they are a part of the airport's broader pet therapy program. They usually visit just a couple times a month. You can check it out when they'll make an appearance on the airport's Instagram page. Just make sure you alpaca your bags.
Did we talk to the llamas about that? They didn't look happy. Their mouths were sealed shut. Their eyes were closed.
Yeah, right. Maybe they don't like it.
Maybe they don't know where they are, and there's just a bunch of terrified people hugging them. I don't know. How about you be an adult, man up, and get on the flight or drive?
Dude,
Don't bring llamas into this.
Well, would this help your fear or angst about it?
No, this makes me hate America more.
Okay. And on that note, have a wonderful weekend, America. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.